Hi, I'm Mike from the Learning Center, and in this segment, we're going to be talking about different note-taking styles. Now, everyone has different styles that work well for them, and this, what we're going to be talking about here, is not at all a comprehensive list. But it's some of the more popular ways that you can learn to take notes. Now, it's a bit more off the beaten path and a bit more formalized than just kind of looking all stream of consciousness. With stream of consciousness, and this is my kind of style that I used for many years, back before I really kind of looked at note-taking, it's all about looking at short sentences and just moving fast. It helps you retain a huge volume of what you're learning in class, and it segments it into understandable portions, but it is just that. Very, very quick. Very write things out as fast as you can. Sometimes you really have no choice than to go all stream of consciousness and just write down what you're thinking. But hopefully you can either rewrite after the fact, or if you can go slower, you might start looking at making an outline. Outlines go topic to topic, usually chronological in the order of class. It's short bullet points with room for examples. If you're continuing a thought, use an indent to continue that thought. A variation of this is what we call the hero's journey, where instead of following class, you look at this topic as a whole and say, okay, there's a beginning to the story, a middle of the story, and an end of the story of this little topic that I'm learning about, like short little stories inside of a lecture. Whichever one works better for you is what you end up doing. Now, you also would know that some of your bullet points here might be questions, connections to things from previous classes. That's kind of where the Cornell style comes in. Cornell is a bit even cleaner, a bit more refined than that, though it's often the slowest style because there's a bit more pieces to it. It's also called the I note-taking style. I'm going to draw a horizontal line across the top of my paper, a horizontal line near the bottom of my paper, about 2/3 of the way down, and a vertical line kind of towards the middle, like a little bit to the left of the paper. Now, this short kind of long segment on the left is what we call cues. On the right are your notes, and down below the I is your summary. Take notes like an outline in the note segment, and in the cue is going to be individual, like your little bullet point, your big picture topics. So if you're writing about, say, World War II, you might end up having cues for individual battles and for like tactics used and what have you. And your notes are your detailed examples, your connections, your questions, and so on. At the bottom of each page, there is room for you to reflect on what you've learned and kind of where we're kind of headed, bigger picture, even further. On screen are some YouTube links for how to do this. They will also be linked in Blackboard. This kind of leads way to similar charts, which is a lot more for comparing and contrasting and for very, very detailed oriented notes, piece by piece by piece. The last one we're going to touch on here is called a mind map. You start at the center of your page with your overall topic, and you web out as you learn more and more about it. So in this example, we're using tennis, and one part of this web might be surfaces, different ways to play tennis, different common tournaments, different shots, and so on. And these are all individual little parts around the central topic. Well, then that's the central topic, and you slowly branch out and out and out and out and out until you've covered the whole topic. You'll note these big squares for your questions, for examples, for connections and such, and how this web kind of all ties together back in on itself. So for the rest of this workshop, we're going to try some of these. You won't know what works for you until you've tried it, so let's try it. Are there any other techniques that you're aware of? If so, let us know, because we're always looking for more different techniques that people use to take notes. So if you're here kind of following along, we're going to try an example. And otherwise, we'll meet up here for the next segment. Thank you.